Okay, hi guys, and welcome to the show. And I thought before we start this particular episode, I would share with you my latest article on Theo and Harris. Christian has very kindly published this quick little article, not my usual long rant that I tend to go on, but this is top 12 things every new watch collector should be excited about. It's a very quick read. Thank you very much to Christian for allowing me to publish it. So guys, the link is in the description. Please go and check it out and enjoy. Okay guys, let's roll the intro and get on with today's show. Okay, hi guys, and welcome to the show. Today we're going to be doing another episode of affordable alternatives. Those of you who are new to the concept, basically all it is, we take iconic watches that you guys nominate and I come up with some more affordable alternatives, but they have to be non-homage, so they have to have their own personality, their own kind of original design. But very similar to the watches we're obviously going to talk about today. Quick wristwatch check before we get into this. I am indeed wearing the Giugiaro, the Ripley, feeling a little bit 80s today. I just, you know, something a bit different, something a bit fun. I don't actually wear this out and about. I only wear it at home because it's special edition and I'm kind of babying it, even though I shouldn't, but I am enjoying it. I love wearing this piece, always brightens my day, brings a smile to my face, just love it. A Marmite watch, definitely a Marmite watch. Some people loathe it, some people absolutely love it. I'm obviously in the latter, but anyway, wristwatch check done. What are we talking about today? Well, we've got three watches, two of them very, very similar. The first one is the Patek Nautilus, which just happens to be 40 years old this year because it was first originally launched in 1976. Quite amazing that it's 40 years old because it's still quite a contemporary design. It's really held its age, and that is a hallmark of a classic, iconic watch design, that it still looks good even 40 years after. The other two watches we're going to talk about is the Panerai Luminor Marina and of course the Radiomir. The Luminor Marina, I think, is almost bet my money on saying that it's the most popular Panerai out there. Without further ado, let's start with the Patek Nautilus. As I said, it's first released in 1976, classic Gerald Genta, I always do that, Genta design. Sorry, I'm thinking urban gentry, Genta, anyway, whatever. Very 70s design. You know, it came out around about the same time as the Royal Oak. In fact, actually, Patek were inspired by the AP Royal Oak, and they wanted their own luxury, high-end steel sports watch, and so they got Genta in, and the Patek Nautilus was born. And the Nautilus name is a reference to Jules Verne's famous, is it 20 Leagues Under the Sea or 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea? I forget. I think I saw the movie when I was a child. I haven't actually read the novel, but I know it's a reference to that book. Now, before I recommend some alternatives, let's have a look at the Nautilus and see its distinguishing features, so we can kind of identify what makes its design, and then I can come up with some alternatives. It's very curvaceous, it has that integrated bracelet, it's got that smooth, flat bezel, a design trait of Genta. But this time we haven't got any little portholes or screws, it's just flat. Lots of like little faceted angles, you know, high polished angles, and then it's a mix of brushed surfaces. Very, very typical Genta, right? Now there are various versions with complications, all the rest of it, but we won't get into the Nautilus today. I'm sure we'll do a future review, so stay tuned for that. So let's have a look at some alternatives. Now we'll start at the most affordable. I'll come up with three alternatives for every watch. My first choice has got to be the Seiko SNKK59. Now there's a ton of variations of this particular watch. If you look on Amazon, it will come up in the recommended list. There are some versions with straight batons, but that's kind of going into the homage territory. What I like about the SNKK59 is it has this kind of Explorer-esque numerals, the 12, 9 and 6. It's a day-date, obviously fully automatic. This of course has the Seiko 7S26 movement, legendary movement, a great movement for an entry-level watch. The beautiful thing about these Seikos are you can get them from 50 to 70 bucks on Amazon and on eBay. I bought one for 50 bucks. I think it was used. No, it was like 40 bucks. Unfortunately, I had to send it back. And I intended to use it for this video, but I had to send it back because there was an issue with the bracelet. But you can pick them up for around about under $50 used, which is just phenomenal. Very Genta-esque with that integrated bracelet, that shape of the case. The bezel's not so thick. It's got its own personality, and I think the version I like with the 12, 9 and 6, which is the one I bought and I had to send back, it has that red second hand. It's got that day date, which is fantastic for every day. The beautiful thing is its size. I think the precise measurement is 41 millimeters, but it wears like a 38, so it's a really good size. We've got 30 meters water resistance, which is absolutely fine. We got that Seiko Lume on there. Obviously stainless steel, do I even have to mention that? So this is the 7S26, so no hacking, no manual wind, but you got that reliability and robustness that it's so famous and legendary for. Hardlex crystal, so we're not seeing any sapphire, but you know, 50, 70 bucks, what do you expect? Okay, my second choice. What is my second choice? Moving on. Well, it's got to be the Jean Richard Terrascope. Originally, I think this came in a 44 millimeter size, which is obviously very big. But now you can get it in a 39 millimeter. My good friend and the Right Honourable Jeremy, an admin on the Urban Gentry Watch Club on Facebook. He actually owns one of these. I'm dying to borrow it off him. I saw one quite recently. They're gorgeous. Now, Jean Richard is a sister brand to the hugely respected Gerard Perregaux, which I'm a huge fan of. A great Swiss brand. They were launched to offer more affordable luxury, kind of entry-level luxury alternatives. Now, the Terrascope was launched, I think, in about 2009, 2010, I might be wrong, around about that kind of date. You've got sapphire glass, you've got that beautifully finished stainless steel case, all the rest of it, luxurious quality to it. But what they did to keep the costs down, they put ETA or the Silita SW200 in there, which we all know. I'm not going to go into it. It's a great workhorse Swiss entry-level movement. It helps to keep the costs down, as I said. So you can pick these up for an absolute steal. You know, around about the $1,000 mark and beyond. There's a whole ton of variations. I'll make sure to put a picture up. I really like them. I'm kind of tempted myself, just because I love the look of them. They're a little bit more kind of tooly, a little bit more utilitarian than the Nautilus. You know, we got that large arrow hand there. You can get a whole bunch of complications, the GMT, beautiful dial colors. The blue one has this amazing texture, especially. I love the blue one. Terrascope, as the name suggests, quite tough, quite robust, much more sporty than the Nautilus, even though the Nautilus is a sports watch. But the Jean Richard, you know, it's got the date there. It's got that little flicker red on the second hand. Most of the time on the chapter ring, we've got minute markings and second little tracks going around the outside. So it is a little bit more kind of tooly, instrument-ish. That's not a word, I just meant instrument-ish. I love that. I'm going to use that in the future. Water resistant to 100 meters. We got a really nice height of only 10 millimeters. Quite thin, so it's almost in dress watch territory there. I absolutely adore them. I think they're very fun and not that expensive. Swiss made. I've got to get one in. I think they're really cool and probably my pick of the bunch for an alternative to the Nautilus. So, you know, they're made in that theme of adventure, of exploration, but yet very handsome. And the great thing is, they look great on straps. They don't have the integrated bracelet, which is a bit of a negative on the Nautilus, and certainly on that Seiko we just talked about. Okay, moving on. Now, this is a fairly obvious choice. And the designs are very similar, but I don't think it happened deliberately. Now, we recently reviewed this, have a look back in the full review, but the Victorinox Inox, which is one of the toughest watches we've had on the show. This thing has undergone hundreds and hundreds of tests. You know, it's been run over by a tank, all kinds of ridiculous things. But these things are designed specifically as tool watches. They're Swiss quartz, they're big pieces, but they wear remarkably well, even for the smaller wrist. They have that scalloped bezel, which is very, very Nautilus-esque. I'm doing that a lot, esque, just add esque to all the words. But the design, although very similar to the Nautilus, it kind of evolved naturally because they were looking for something robust and tough, and it just so happens that that kind of case shape is very robust. So it wasn't designed deliberately to mimic the Nautilus. They just happen to look similar. But you're getting, you know, 200-meter water resistance, one of the toughest watches ever featured on the show. Victorinox, great brand. I mean, do we even have to go into it? They're Swiss Army knives. And the great thing is, we're talking $300, $350. Fantastic. And of course, you can get it on the bracelet. I think $350 for the bracelet. It's a little bit cheaper. It goes well on rubber. You've got all different dial colors. Really legible. If you were a Nautilus owner and wanted something that still reminded you of your Nautilus, but as a beta, this would definitely be it. This would definitely be it. And it just happens to be very Genta-esque. I'm doing the esque thing again. So yeah, check out the Victorinox. Right, let's move on to the Panerais. Now the Panerai, let's discuss the Panerais a little bit. I have covered the Panerai watches, their history quite a bit, but obviously founded in 1860 in Florence by Giovanni Panerai. Quite funny that it was founded in Florence, considering these are nautical, you know, diving watches, but yet Florence is nowhere near the sea. Very strange. I mean, I guess you could go diving in the Arno, but so made hugely famous by their association with the Italian Navy, the Royal Italian Navy, and of course those hard as nails frogmen during World War II. So let's identify what distinguishes their iconic style, where they're big watches, very masculine, those bold, hugely legible dials, because obviously they're for diving. They're instrument watches at the end of the day, so very utilitarian, minimalist design. They've become luxury icons, which is often happens with these classic design. They're very famous for being strap monsters, and they literally are monsters. That cushion case, that curvaceous cushion case. The Radiomir is more 1930s without the crown guards, and then of course the Luminor Marina has those very industrial, hard-looking crown protective. I've looked at all of this in a previous video, so check it out. Of course, it has a hardcore following. I think probably the only watch out there that has a name for its fan, the Paneristi, which is so cool. I really like Panerai. I didn't originally. They're far too big for me. I might try on a 40mm one day. Thankfully, they're much cheaper, but they don't have that resale value as the bigger ones. But anyway, that's a whole nother video. That's a whole nother story. So let's have a look. Well, my first choice is a micro brand company. They're called Margheriti. Now Margheriti, funnily enough, it sounds very Italian, right? But they're not. They're from New Zealand, and they make an astonishingly gorgeous watch. A friend of mine recently got one of these. I'll see if I can borrow it for a review. I really liked it. The Mona Pacific Waterman, especially 42mm stainless steel, obviously. Oh, and I should mention most of the Panerais are stainless steel as well. Automatics, manual wines, all the rest of it. Now they come with I think they come with a Miyota. This is the 9015, so nothing high-end whatsoever, but very dependable and kind of the staple of the micro brand watch world, really, so to speak. Screw down crown, obviously these are hugely, you cannot say they're not inspired by the Panerais, it's obvious, but what I like is that they've got their own little flair of personality. It does come with a rotating bezel, which I think on a dive watch is something I've never really understood about the Panerai, but obviously they came out before the rotating bezel was invented. So it's a unidirectional bezel. They do have sapphire. They're 200 meter water resistance. They're limited edition to I think about 500 pieces each color. So they're quite rare. It's not something that, you know, everybody knows about, but very tastefully done. And I just love their dials. I love that, again, you know, like the Panerai, you can really have fun with the strap combinations, and you can order them straight from their website. So check them out. I think the price is about $600 thereabouts, but very impressive. And I gotta say, I like them. From the one I've seen, I was pleasantly surprised, and I think bang on for the money, really. So we have got manual wind. I can't remember if the Militara 9015 is hackable. I don't think so. Anyway, guys, remind me. These movements, I forget all this stuff. So yeah, the Mona Pacific Waterman, very, very cool watch indeed. Has that kind of 60s retro vibe about it as well. And yeah, very, very cool. Anyway, moving on, another micro brand. Now this is a micro brand I have reviewed on the channel and I was really impressed. Now this is Visitor, the Dune Shore by Visitor. This one is more like the Radiomir. It has that kind of 1930s Art Deco curves to it. It's very individualistic and unique. Again, looks amazing with different straps, just like a Panerai. It's got some of the most amazing hands I've ever seen. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous watch. The same Miyota as the Margaretti, but this is a micro brand from the US. Obviously this is, the parts are from all over the place, but the case is to die for. It has this stunning curved case back that reminds me of the, you know, the beam in that sculpture in Chicago. Beautiful high polished stainless steel case, gorgeous. It is a big piece at 42mm, certainly too big for me, but they are coming out with this particular version. This is the Park Vale or Vale Park, I can't remember. This is slightly smaller at 41mm. I'm actually in the waiting list for this. I'm definitely going to buy one. I've ever since Phil over there at Visitor made the announcement, I just have to have one. And it has this fold open case back, very like a pocket watch. Just, I mean, absolute pure class. I can't wait to get my hands on. So very, very excited about that. 100 meters water resistance, which is absolutely fine. The only bad thing is you are going to be on a waiting list. These are not that common. You know, this is a very small company. It's a one-man show, I think, there. So you do have to wait, but it's worth it. These, you know, how many of these are you going to see out in the wild? You're going to probably be the only guy in New York City wearing one of these. Very, very cool indeed. And they also look great on mesh as well. My last alternative for the Panerais, and this has got to be the Squale 1000 meter, the 101 Atmos. This is a monster of a watch, really, really big. But what I love about this piece is it's got so much of its own style. When I wore the Panerais over at Federico's, I had the same feeling. It's big, it's bulky, it's extremely well made. It's a dive watch designed for diving. It really is an instrument watch. That Bakelite bezel, you have to press it down to click it in place. The dial design with those applied indices that are all faceted at different angles to catch the light. Very, very legible with that orange hand. Yet, stylistically, it may be a bit of a departure from the Panerai, but at heart, it has that same feeling. Has this kind of retro, it's based on a classic 70s design of Squale. And I really think it's the most underrated watch that Squale have. Everybody loves the Squale 1521 with good reason. It's a beautiful watch. This one really is the crowning achievement, I think, of Squale, because it's their most original design. They're made to such a high standard. And these retail, I mean, we're talking 1300. You've got a high grade ETA movement in there. They are bigger at 43mm, but strangely enough, I wore it quite well for a big watch. They got this very curvaceous cushion case that also curves to your wrist. Very nicely done. Sapphire crystal, obviously. Now, the PVD one is my pick of the bunch because the PVD is actually done by Beretta, the gun makers, the Italian gun makers. It's done in the same factory. I mean, how many watches can boast that? I mean, it's so cool. So a really beautiful finish on these pieces, and they are built like absolute tanks. Automatic, obviously, with the ETA 2824-2 in there. It's the high grade version. They perform impeccably. Nobody talks about the Squire 101 enough. The 101 Atmos. They all go to the 1521, which is understandable, but really this is the pick of the bunch when it comes to Squire. It really is. The thing is, it's much more of a Marmite watch because of that retro styling. It's not going to please everybody, but trust me, when you get this thing in the flesh, I got the same feeling as a Panerai. I really did. It's a luxury quality, but not at a luxury price. It's very modest. I mean, those Bakelite bezels are not cheap to do. The construction, the finishing of these pieces is impeccable. I've also reviewed it, so have a look back in my past reviews. Phenomenal watch. Anyway guys, those are my top recommendations, 3 on each. Let me know yours. Please nominate yours in the your suggestions for affordable alternatives in the comments below. All they have to be is more affordable than the watches we're talking about, and obviously non-homage. So let's try and help as many people as we can out there. So please put your suggestions down in the comments. I really do appreciate it. Thank you very, very much for watching. Please don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it and found it useful. And as always guys, I'll catch you in the next one. Okay, ciao.